Hey everybody, it's Chris over at Dixieland Farm, and today I'm going to tell you about my turntable and what's going on with it and why I bought this turntable and a whole bunch of stuff going on. So I did past videos on the turntable, the U-turn orbit, and how it was making some noise, and then I actually tracked it down to our AC heat pump unit. So what would happen is that heat pump would vibrate underneath in the crawl space, and the vibrations would come up and affect where I actually have the turntable. But I did samples, and while you can see the waveform is messed up, you can't actually hear it, so I just kind of left it alone. But I've been doing a lot of digitizing, and I've also noticed that the noise floor on the turntable is not perfect. You can still hear some motor noise, even though I replaced the motor already. And one of the reasons why I bought the U-turn was customer service. And so I decided to buy an acrylic platter, see if that would help isolate the motor noise. Again, you can't hear it in normal life. You can only hear it when you got headphones on, and when you're editing these MP3s, you notice it, and then you start really noticing it. So the original platter that I had, MDF, hear it? So I decided to go for the acrylic platter that they sell. Much heavier, duller sound, and maybe that would help with the motor noise isolation. When I got the platter and I put it on, it had a wobble. So on a Sunday, I emailed the company, and within an hour, I got a response from one of the co-founders of the company. Listen, try flipping it over, try pushing it down harder. Tell me if that works. It worked a little bit, but no, there was still a significant wobble. He said, yeah, the older spindles had an issue. And I said, well, so I emailed him again. Well, the reason why I was getting this was to get rid of the motor noise that I can still hear. You know, I sent him a sample of it. He's like, you shouldn't be hearing any noise. So let me tell you, we will be sending you a updated spindle, a motor, a belt, just to make sure, and we'll just give you another platter anyway. That is the customer service. All that happened on a Sunday. So I'm going to be replacing these parts. These things have problems, turntables. They're mechanical devices. Maybe I got a second bum motor, because when I did this in the past and I had the motor noise, they had already shipped me a new motor. But let's give it a try. Maybe I just happen to get a bum replacement motor. But you can't fault the company for trying and standing behind their product. One reason why I didn't buy your Project or Riga, one of those turntables had a design flaw that you could hear motor noise, and the aftermarket had to sell the parts. The company just didn't fix it. U-turn fixes it, and they upgrade stuff all the time. If you tell them that you're not happy, they'll mail you the parts. That's why I bought that company. USA. USA. Okay, so let's go ahead and replace the spindle and see if that gets rid of the wobble and get rid of the motor, and let's see if that makes a difference with the noise floor. Let's get to it. And as you can tell, much better. Alright, so the owner was right. The old spindle design, for whatever reason, is not so great with the new platter. See, and you can even, can I get it to focus? You can even see it's got play there. Yeah, that's probably what the problem was. So, they stood behind their product. A+. And all it is just a ball bearing on a stick. And you got the cap end there. And you see it's got a little bit of kind of a hydraulic thing going on with the cushion, which is pretty cool. So I got the replacement motor in the mail, and here we are replacing the motor. So you just remove the one screw, take off the wire, and then you just push it out and then push in the new motor. If I have the needle on the record in the lead out groove, I don't hear anything if the motor is not on. There is no circuitry that mutes the audio, which older turntables did have. So I'm not hearing just general line noise. I only hear it when the motor is on. So that doesn't mean that, it still could mean that I'm just picking up generalized noise, right? But if I lift the arm, I don't hear the noise anymore. So I think still I'm hearing motor noise. We're going to get to a little bit more, right? So if I take the belt off, so now the arm and the needle is on the record, but not even spinning, I hear this noise still. And looking at the spectrum analysis, negative 48 dB at 60 hertz, and then the multiple, the harmonic at 120. So again, I'm picking up very distinct 60 cycle hum, but I believe it's still being induced by the motor. Not electrically, but mechanically. So that thing's vibrating and turning at 60 times a second. The motor, as it cogs, uses that AC power. So I think I'm still picking up motor noise. This is a common, not a common issue, but this is an issue with motor design and turntables. Project had this issue from what I understand. They just kind of refused to work on it. There was an aftermarket fix for it with rubber bushings and stuff like that. The way the motor is, as you saw, it was in a rubber cup. It's isolated from the turntable as best as it can be. If I kind of play with the wire that feeds it power, and I kind of bend it a certain way, I hear the noise change ever so slightly. However, looking at the spectrum analysis, I still have the same noise. So that's why you can't always trust your ears. You have to really look into this stuff. Also, I am picking up still our heat pump, and it's a very low vibration. I found out it's at 20 hertz, which is why I can't really hear it when I'm doing an A/B test, but I can see it. It's at negative 26 dB. And so I'm picking up very low vibration of the heat pump going. Again, I can't hear it, but I can see it, and that's annoying. So that is a secondary problem, and what I'm going to try to do is replace the shelf. So I cut this shelf plywood. It's thicker, it's made up of multiple sheets of wood, and I'm hoping that's going to help dampen the vibration some. I'm actually going to put my current shelf on top of it, and we'll see if that does anything. So that way I don't actually have to paint this and do anything. It just will sit on there and just add absorption. I tried putting a kind of a rubbery foam pad underneath the turntable. That didn't help, so just gonna keep at it. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into the nerdy analysis here. This is the old motor, no air conditioning running, and you can see from the waveform it looks okay. And let's take a look at what the motor looks like with the AC running. Oof. Okay, so you can see the wiggling there, right? Not good. But again, I can't actually hear it because it's so low in the frequency spectrum. It's just like a low bassy rumble. It's so low, and because the volume is so low, you just don't really hear it. You could probably, if you had your speakers running, your subwoofer running, full blast, you probably could hear it. But let's take a look at a couple other waveforms now. So we went ahead and put the new motor in, and it looks pretty similar to the old system. And while we're here, let's take a look at what the new shelf is. Again, very similar. New shelf with the AC. It's reduced just slightly. Now, I played with the motor a bit. And what I did was I played with the wires. Now let's see, with the AC running and playing with the wires, did I do better? And I did. Interesting. So, yeah, my theory holds true. So what I did by playing with the wires, the wires were vibrating and causing it to find its way back into the system. By playing with the wires, it kind of muted the motor vibrations. Interesting. Okay, so here we go. We've got a spectrum analysis of the noise. You can see right here at 14 hertz, it goes up to negative 45 dB. At 60 hertz, we're at negative 48 dB. Then over here at 120 hertz, we're at negative 60 dB with the AC running. Now we can see the bump that I'm talking about. Right here, between 15 and 20 hertz, we go up to negative 27 dB. That is the noise that we see but cannot hear. Then at 60 hertz, you see we got the bump at negative 48 dB, and at 120, we have a bump at negative 57 dB. Let's take a look with everything replaced. This is with the new shelf. Now you can see the floor has gone down to negative 55 dB here in the beginning. Then we still have that 60 hertz, negative 48, and then we got a big bump at 120 up to negative 42. We've actually gone up at 120. Here's with the AC running, the new shelf, the new platter, we're done. Let's take a look at the analysis. Now you can see we've got that noise floor down to negative 54 dB, almost as good as if the AC was not running. We have a bump at negative 48 at 60 hertz and a bump at negative 48 at 120 hertz. So with all of this manipulation, what have we learned? Not too much. But I am satisfied that I was able to lower the noise floor with the air conditioning running, and to my ears I hear a slight reduction in turntable noise, even though the numbers don't show it, which is why we are never great as official harbingers of information when it comes to sound, that we really have to rely on the science. The numbers I think are good enough where I'm going to keep going forward and that I'm happy with what I've got. This is just the difference between a budget normal turntable and a turntable that's $10,000 is getting that last 10 dB of motor noise dropped down to nothing. This is a problem with projects, I believe problems with Regas, and you want to sample it? This is what it sounds like, what I'm even talking about. This is the noise I'm talking about, ready? Right here. Could you hear it? All right, let me bump it up so you can actually hear it now. Hold on. That's the noise. That's what I'm getting at. On headphones, it's slightly annoying. In reality, you'd never notice. So, with all that nerd talk from Dixieland Farm, everybody, thank you so much for watching. Take care.